Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, Mohamed Juliet Jallo, Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Singo Paul Thomas, Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Mweni Nasenge, colleague ministers and deputy ministers of the Republic of Sierra Leone, esteemed colleagues, ministers and representatives of the 11th African meeting of the Council of Ministers of the African Diamond Producers Association, honorable members of Parliament, ambassadors and high commissioners, and members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, representatives of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, development partners, mining investors and financiers, industry leaders, service providers and consultancy firms, paramount chiefs, traditional leaders, and stakeholders from our mining communities, representatives of civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations, members of the Fourth Estate, exhibitors and sponsors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning, just in time, and welcome to Freetown. Welcome to a city of sea breeze and steep hills, a city of history and hope, a city that has learned over generations that the climb may be demanding, but the view from higher ground is always worth the effort. In that sense, Freetown is a fitting host for Sierra Leone Mining Week 2026 because the ambition before us is also uphill work. It requires discipline, stamina, courage, and refusal to mistake difficulty for impossibility. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio, the government and people of Sierra Leone, and in my capacities as the Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources and the Chairman of the African Diamond Producers Association, it is my profound honor and deep personal privilege to welcome you to Sierra Leone Mining Week 2026, featuring the 11th Ordinary Meeting of the Council of Ministers of ADPA and the launch of the National Strategy for Critical Minerals in Sierra Leone 2026 to 2031. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to begin with a very simple truth. The people gathered in this room today do not all come here with the same mandate, but they do come with the same responsibility. Government comes to govern wisely. Investors come to assess opportunities. Communities come to ask development questions when we finally, the ground beneath their feet, benefit them. Civil society comes to hold all of us accountable. Young professionals come to ask whether this sector will make room for their talent and their future. And the success of this week will depend on whether all of those expectations can be brought into one common purpose. That common purpose is beautifully captured in our theme, our mineral resources, responsible mining, value multiplication, and shared prosperity. This theme is timely, compelling, and morally precise. Not merely a slogan for a conference hall, it is the economic and ethical contract of our age. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, responsible mining without value multiplication is incomplete. Value multiplication without shared prosperity is unjust. Shared prosperity without responsible governance is unsustainable. If we mine responsibly but export all the value, then we have behaved well, but not wisely. If we create value but leave host communities behind, then we have grown revenue without growing justice. And if we speak beautifully of prosperity whilst neglecting transparency, accountability, and discipline, then we are simply putting elegant language around future instability. So this week is about more than just minerals, more than just the critical minerals you just observed. And that was a geology class, 101. It is about meaning. It is about turning mineral wealth into public value. It is about ensuring that what lies beneath our soil can rise and raise what stands above it: schools, clinics, skills, enterprise, and of course, national dignity and confidence. This is also why the theme speaks so directly to Sierra Leone's national ambition. Africa, including Sierra Leone, must move beyond being known merely as a place where minerals are extracted. Africa must be known as a place where minerals are governed wisely, processed competitively, traded fairly, and transformed into broad-based sustainable development. The old model exported raw value and imported dependency. The new African model must export excellence and retain prosperity. That is why beneficiation they are strategic necessities. The same logic sits at the heart of our national strategy for critical minerals in Sierra Leone, which will be launched this afternoon at this historic gathering. The strategy sets out very clearly our national vision. Sierra Leone must become a globally recognized, responsible leader in critical minerals production and processing, powering the world's energy transition, while catalyzing inclusive broad-based socio-economic development, transformational development, I mean by that, environmental stewardship, shared responsibility for all Sierra Leoneans. The strategy rests on 4 transformational themes: empowering transformation, advancing stewardship, catalyzing shared prosperity, and securing strategic partnerships. Those themes are not abstract. There are 4 promises: that Sierra Leone will no longer export its future as raw ore, that our minerals will be governed with high standards and seriousness, that mining must create visible benefits for citizens and communities, and that international partnerships must strengthen, not weaken, our sovereignty and development ambitions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me at this point to express profound gratitude to His Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio and His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Jule Jallo for their charismatic, transformational, and nationally unifying leadership. Sir, Your Excellency, under your stewardship, Sierra Leone has strengthened its development direction and reaffirmed a powerful principle that mineral wealth must serve broad-based socio-economic development and not remain confined to extraction statistics or isolated enclaves of benefit. This leadership has helped reposition the mining sector in alignment with Sierra Leone's national development plans and ambition, including the 5 big game changers: strong institutions and good governance, food security, human capital development, and youth employment, economic diversification, and resilience and infrastructure development. Important. Because a serious mining country does not measure success only by measure success builds. That's why the progress already made in Sierra Leone's mining sector matters. The country has strengthened its governance architecture through the Mines and Minerals Development Act of 2023, which provides for clearer licensing procedures, environmental and social safeguards, community development agreements, local content policies, and remediation or restoration obligations. National Minerals Agency continues to provide professional oversight and transparent licensing support, while Sierra Leone's commitment to transparency and responsible governance remains central to investor confidence and public trust. The national strategy for the critical minerals gives this reform momentum, a longer horizon, and a clearer destination. By 2031, Sierra Leone seeks to attract $2.5 billion in exploration and mining investment, establish 3 to 5 mineral processing plants and beneficiation facilities, create 45,000 direct jobs and indirect jobs, train 15,000 skilled workers, generate over $300 million in annual government revenue, and achieve $1.5 million in annual exports from processed and value-added mineral products. These are not just numbers or statistics. They are national intentions made very measurable. Watch my lips. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have the geological basis for that ambition, you all witnessed the wonderful performance by school children. And I'm sure for those who've always misunderstood what we mean by critical minerals, I think it was extremely critical while we were sitting here to listen to them critically, to understand the criticality of critical minerals. And I do believe for those who came here, you are leaving here feeling like a critical mineral, well energized. You do not know in which country's portfolio you're going to end. That's why that value chain is important to protect it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what was displayed by school children is exemplary. And I think they deserve another round of applause. I will not go through the basket of minerals we have here, but it was mentioned. In our critical mineral strategy will be launched today, and which you can collect at the various exhibition booths, especially the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources and the NMA. We named 70 critical minerals. I'm not going to go through that list. I think you've already been well educated by the children. And I hope that discussion will continue when we move outside of this hall. But mineral endowment alone does not create prosperity. I repeat, mineral endowment alone does not create prosperity. Governance does. Strategy does. Infrastructure does. Skills do. Partnership does. Minerals in the ground are only potential. Minerals governed well from prosperity. Minerals governed well from prosperity. If there's any one line that you're going to take away from this, please, like this, in your body, soul, and spirit. That's why the Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources and the National Minerals Agencies, in collaboration with their sisters, ministries, departments, and agencies, continue to build on past achievements and to prepare the sector for the future. This work includes policy design, legal and regulatory strengthening, geological mapping, mineral resource characterization, investor facilitation, environmental and social governance, local content planning, and the strategic development of our critical minerals itself. A major part of the future lies in exploration. For those who were here a couple of weeks ago at the West African Infrastructure Investment Summit, I emphasized the need for exploration. If Sierra Leone and Africa wish to expand the bankability of their mining project pipelines, then more attention must be given to financing, drilling, and discovery. Geology is generous. Geology has been over-generous to Sierra Leone. Our mineral endowment is exemplary, but it's not self-advertising. All bodies do not reveal themselves because speeches are elegant or because we've organized Mining Week. They reveal themselves because data is gathered, surveys are conducted, data are interpreted, targets are tested, and drilling is financed. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear about this. Financing drilling is not a technical footnote in any publication. It is the front door for future mineral wealth. A country that does not finance discovery eventually bargains for hope instead of evidence. And a continent that underinvests in exploration will continue to watch others define the value of what lies beneath their soil in their own country. For so long, made mistakes. I think we have to unlearn certain things, relearn, and move forward. That's why the program of Sierra Leone Mining Week 2026 is well designed. Over these days, we are not confined to one narrow conversation. We are addressing financing beyond the traditional model, geopolitics and critical minerals, arbitration and investor state confidence, infrastructure and energy constraints, supply chain transparency, value addition and beneficiation, community development agreements, women in mining, and the role of our young men and women. This is not a mining in the small sense. It is a national platform. Arrives at a moment when the global geopolitics of critical minerals is becoming sharper, faster, and more consequential. The world is being rewired in real time by the clean energy transition, digitalization, advanced manufacturing, and new security priorities. And all this transformation increasingly converge on minerals that African countries possess in geological abundance, including Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone to this moment must be confident and clear. Sierra Leone is open for business. I repeat, Sierra Leone is open for business, but Sierra Leone is not open for capture. That distinction matters more now. It means that we welcome investments, technology, finance, and long-term partnerships, but on terms with responsible mining and consistent with value multiplication and shared prosperity. This is where ADPA's role becomes deeply relevant to the wider purpose of mining. As you saw, the children in here gathered representatives, ministers or deputy ministers from Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Namibia, Angola, South Africa, Tanzania, Zimbabwe. Those are the member countries of ADPA, plus our observers who are here. Gabon, Russia Federation, Algeria, Mali, Mauritania, and of course our new members, observers, India and Mozambique. ADPA was established to harmonize policies. This was very clearly articulated by the school children here. Promote legal convergence, coordinate technical cooperations, and transform diamonds from simple ones associated with conflict into instruments of peace, dignity, enterprise, and sustainable development. In recent years, and under Sierra Leone's current chairmanship of ADPA, the association has strengthened its collective voice, public visibility, and strategic engagement during a period for African diamond producers. And I'm sure some people might have taken note. Went through this whole litany of African countries who are members and observers of ADPA, but Botswana was not mentioned. Botswana is the largest producer of diamond by volume and by value. That's the geopolitics of diamond. Under my chairmanship, we're still making attempts to bring them on board. And that, I pray and hope that will be achieved under my chairmanship. For those who want to know why they are still not members, come to the ministerial booth later. I think we'll have that conversation. Not everything geopolitical has to be discussed in a mining week. You know, the difficulties that we encounter are not theoretical. Global trade disruptions, certificate pressures, price fragility, the rise of lab-grown diamonds, and the implications of the G7 EU Diamond Protocol produce countries to think more strategically about the market, access, sovereignty, traceability, and the long-term future of rough diamond industry. Ladies and gentlemen, these challenges are real. But as it's been said before, the spear is not a policy. The answer is organization. The answer is standards. The answer is strategy. That's why the ADPA Sustainable Diamond Standards matter so much. They represent an African-led framework for responsible mining, environmental stewardship, community empowerment, transparency, and ethical sourcing. They tell the world that Africa is fully capable of defining high standards for its own minerals and defending the legitimacy of natural products in the global market. The answer is also better storytelling. Lab-grown diamonds should not cause panic, but natural diamonds must not be outmarketed by synthetic substitutes through silence, fragmentation, or weak narrative. African diamonds carry rarity, history, labor, sovereign value, and measurable impact in real communities. Those truths must be defended with branding, provenance, evidence, and confidence. And what is true for diamonds is increasingly true for other minerals, including the critical minerals that we are listed here. Africa must not remain the source of minerals while others monopolize the standards, the system, the fees, the data, the processing, and the strategic leverage around them. If the continent supplies the substance, it must also shape the terms. That's why regional integration matters. The National Strategy for Critical Minerals explicitly recognizes the importance of ECOWAS and the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in building regional value chains, harmonizing standards, and attracting partnerships that support African industrialization. This approach is fully aligned with African mining vision and the African Green Mineral Strategy, also aligned with the ECOWAS Minerals Development Policy, as well as the ECOWAS Directive on the harmonization of guidelines and policies in the mining sector. All of this call for beneficiation on African soil, stronger institution, and coordinated continental value addition. In that spirit, ladies and gentlemen, Sierra Leone's regional convening role continues to grow. The recently concluded West African Integration and Investment Summit, hosted in Freetown at the end of April, demonstrated that this city is becoming more than a city of hospitality. It is increasingly becoming a capital of regional economic challenge, strategic partnerships, and practical ambition. That matters because nations that can convene ideas, are often better positioned to coordinate investment. Yet, even as we speak of geopolitics and strategy, we must never lose sight of the human meaning of the sector. Mining cannot be judged only by tons exported or by carats cut and polished, or kilograms of bulk minerals exported, or licenses, or number of licenses issued, or investment commitments announced. It must be judged by whether the host communities feel progress in their daily lives, whether young people feel dignified and have dignified work, whether women gain fuller participation in the value chain, whether local businesses enter procurement systems, and whether environmental standards are lived, not merely printed. You saw the skit by the children regarding community development issues. That's why shared prosperity must remain the center of the conversation, even at this mining week. The national strategy places strong emphasis on local content requirement, workforce development, community benefit mechanisms, women's economic empowerment, youth opportunity, and visible infrastructure in mining communities. The program of this week rightly includes community development agreements, the launch of the Community Development Management Information System, which has been developed in-house by the National Minerals Agency, which allows every stakeholder, wherever you are, at any time, anywhere, you can access what the communities are receiving from the Community Development Fund, from the Community Development Action Plan, from the Community Development Fund, from the Mining District Development Fund, from the Diamond Area Community Development Fund, from surface rent, from land lease agreements. So we want to make this visible, transparent as much as possible. So for those who are Sierra Leoneans here coming from various chiefdoms, that gives you the opportunity to drill on this data set at the most granular level and understand what's taking place. We have to do this in conformance with our obligations under EITI, the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. That's why shared prosperity remains, and women in mining and young professionals and the future of this sector are the core of what we are discussing. Those are not side topics. They are the legitimacy of the sector in practice. To the investors and financiers present here today, let me talk to you directly. You might not have the chance again. Sierra Leone welcomes you not to a country of vague potential, but to a country of serious intent. Sierra Leone offers geological diversity, strategic Atlantic access, an English-speaking business environment, reform momentum, and a government that understands the urgency of building a mining sector that is both competitive and credible. But the invitation is not simply to extract. The invitation is to build projects, processing capacity, infrastructure, supply ecosystems, skills, and long-term confidence. To fellow African policymakers and ministers, this is the moment to deepen coordination. No country should negotiate the full future of its mineral wealth as though the pressure it faces are unique, when so many of us, and those pressures are shared. Infrastructure gap, financing cost, certification pressures, fragmented standards, volatile markets, and the risk of exporting value while importing dependence. Our response must be more collaborative, more strategic, and more Pan-African. To civil society, academia, and community stakeholders, the sector needs your scrutiny and your partnership. The strongest mining jurisdictions are not those without criticism. They are those that are strong enough to learn, improve, and remain accountable. Responsible mining is not sustained by government alone, nor by investors alone. It is sustained by public trust, institutional discipline, and informed participation. To the young professionals in this hall, your future is not at the edge of this industry. Your future is increasingly at the center. This sector needs geologists, engineers, metallurgists, environmental scientists, lawyers, financiers, entrepreneurs, community development specialists who are ready to build a smarter, cleaner, and more inclusive mining future. The mining economy of tomorrow will not only be deeper in geology, but it will be stronger in data, in higher standards, and broader in opportunity. Artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, all of these are things. Fourth industrial revolution, our young men and young women must position themselves to remain competitive. Mining is becoming smarter, to be smarter. AI is important, but HR is more important, human intelligence. And to every participant in Sierra Leone Mining Week 2026, let this be the practical challenge of the days ahead. Do not attend this mining week passively. Use it. Meet someone new. Test an idea. Build a partnership. All forms of partnerships. All forms. Sierra Leone, we are hosting this in Freetown. So many things are free. So make use of them. Ask a harder question. Not only about mining, but about other things. Visit the exhibitors. Join the panels. Listen beyond your sector. Turn a conversation into a commitment and a comfort into a collaboration. Sometimes the most valuable investment decisions made at conference begins not on this stage, but in the corridors, at the cocktail parties, the after cocktail parties, especially when they're hangovers. So let us therefore coordinate more effectively, collaborate more sincerely. Don't blame the hangover. And cooperate more strategically in order to improve the African mining industry and the socio-economic well-being of African mining communities. Let us finance discovery, not merely discuss it. Let us process more and not just produce more. Let us retain more value, train more citizens, empower more communities, and negotiate with clarity and confidence. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to offer one reflection on leadership, innovation, and investment in mining as I conclude. Leadership is the courage to see beyond the pit. That's in the mining ecosystem. Innovation is the discipline to turn knowledge into value. Investment is most honorable when it multiplies prosperity for the people whose land make it possible. A mine is not truly world-class because it is deep. It is world-class when it meaningfully impacts on the lives of the people. So as we gather in Freetown, let this room speak with one message to Sierra Leone, to Africa, and to the world. Sierra Leone is ready not merely to produce, but to lead. Not merely to supply, but to share. Not merely to host important conversations, but to influence the outcomes. Africa must not be remembered only as the place where the raw materials of modernity are extracted, and our countries are left as quarries. Africa must be respected as the place where those minerals were governed wisely, processed competitively, and transformed into shared prosperity. Let this mining week therefore be remembered not simply as an event that was well attended, well decorated, but as a moment that was used well. Let it deepen trust. Let it attract serious investment. Let it strengthen continental coordination. Let it give confidence to reformers, clarity to investors, and hope to communities. May our discussions be wise. May our partnerships be just. May our policies be courageous. May our investments be transformational. And may the mineral wealth of Sierra Leone and Africa finally serve first the people and communities from whom the wealth comes. Thank you.